Hello, welcome back to another segment in excerpts from a Spiritual Ascension. This video will find you at the time that you need the information. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to spend time with me, have a reading, or just discuss your own journey, there is a link below to book time with me. So I know I've talked about this topic many times before, but I think it's important and it's kind of like maybe there's someone who's watching that kind of needs this information right now. Um, about a need to minimize. So I've talked at length about how I lived in Manhattan. I worked on Wall Street, excuse me, and I collected stuff. Okay, so Monday through Friday, I was up at about 4:30 in the morning to get on the subway downtown to work, to get to work usually by 7:30, and then leave the office by 5 in order now to get home by 6:30ish. Subways are like the worst. Plus, I lived at the very top of Manhattan, so there's a people think that Manhattan's a small island, which it's not. And you have to go stop after stop after stop. Anyway, um, so my days were consumed with work. Usually, if I did take a lunch break, depending when I shouldn't say when I first, the middle of my 20 years that I was there, I worked in the Times Square area. So if you've ever been through Times Square, you'll see there's a lot of um, you probably a lot of companies that kind of Wall Street companies that are kind of sit there. So if you can figure that out, you'll know where I was. So there's a lot to do around there. Rockefeller Center, right? What else? Trying to think. But I was good known for my lunch break. I would walk over to Rockefeller Center. Also, I was also on Sixth Avenue at one point where all I had to do was go downstairs from my building and follow the tunnel. And I was right in the middle of Rockefeller Center. So there's all the shopping. Fifth Avenue was a 5-minute walk away. So I was always in the stores. And I was a shopaholic. So, and in the being in the city too, in most cases, a majority of people are going to spend their money on food, drink, or beverages. I'm sorry, not beverages, clothes, or some kind of furniture, the furniture furnishing their apartments or whatever it may be like. So there's not a lot of other things you can do in the city unless you take, and people don't have cars in the city. So you're going to, if you want to get out into nature or whatever, you're gonna have to take like a bus ride or rent a car or something like that. But if you're staying in a city, which a majority of people do, um, this is where you're using your money. So when I had left New Jersey, where I had brought up my children and moved, and I kind of got rid of the stuff that I had because, it had been worn down. And when I got to New York, I wanted to buy all new, nice things. And I furnished my apartment really nicely, and um, it was really really nice. In the beginning, it's weird because I had moved into this huge 2-bedroom apartment, beautiful wood floors and everything. I guess they call that a pre-war building, and all I had was a couch, and I was like, oh my goodness, like. I have this big living room, and all I had was like a couch in there. So I felt this need to buy things just to kind of fill it up. And then I had three pretty big closets. There was no closets back then pre-war. There were no closets in the bedroom. So, but there was three closets in the hallway. So I went about filling up those closets. Eventually, I turned my second bedroom into a closet room to add more stuff. Um, it just got ridiculous. So, um, anyway, further down the line, I had moved up to Westchester County. So if you're familiar with New York, it's right above Manhattan, and it's kind of you take a train into the city. Um, and all of a sudden, I had this really tiny, small apartment, and I couldn't even fit all the furniture that I had before into this new apartment. So it was at this time also that 2017, where my father, my son in spirit, my grandmother, really all my grandparents were eventually coming through to give me instructions about what was going to take place in my future. Had no idea about anything, this ascension journey, what it was, or um, but the first thing they had said to me is you need to get rid of stuff. So this is going through a medium also because they are in spirit. Um, like you have too much stuff, you need to kind of minimize it. I had clothes that were too small, stuff with still tags on it, that I had in totes just piled up. And like one day, just in case, those type of things. I came across the minimalists around that time. I think they started in around 2016. So this is now about 20, I'm going to say 2018, 2019, that, I'm kind of giving these instructions that, you need to minimize. And I'm like, I don't want to get rid of anything. And they have a game kind of where you're um, starting off the month, day one, and you get rid of one item, and then the next day you get rid of two items. So I kind of did that and just kind of, and I couldn't really find things I wanted to get rid of. Also, if you've been following along, you know that another psychic had come to me in a practice session and informed me that I would be working with homeless women. So if you've been following along with my ascension story that I kind of have on a different playlist, you'll understand the whole thing behind that. And so when he told me that, I'm thinking, okay, well, they've been telling me to get rid of stuff. Maybe I just need to take some of my clothes. I have way too many clothes and just donate them. And which I did. I filled up about 9 to 10 huge black, I guess like lawn leaf garbage bags, like huge bags of clothes, and took them over to a homeless shelter for women and um, donated those. Still had a lot, and I still was accumulating more. When it was time for me to leave that apartment because of the pandemic, beginning of 2020, I took not only, I guess the storage place, they had like one unit, I don't know if it was 10 by 10 or something like that. And that was enough to fit like my furniture and everything. But I didn't have enough room to fit my clothing. So I got a whole nother storage unit. I don't know if that one was 5 by 5 or whatever, just to put, I was really particular about my clothes. Um, I had Gucci shoes and handbags, and it was just out of control. But I had a whole nother storage unit um, just for my clothes. Ended up going to New Jersey, and that's when my ascension journey started. I had no idea what was going on. My reason for coming to you today is that, as I've been saying, you're living two lives within one lifetime. So everything that you've accumulated in that past life cannot come with you. And it got to the point where I um, ran out of money. And so I could no longer pay for my storage units. I lost everything. But the reasoning behind, I was devastated. I mean, so devastated. But the reasoning behind that was that I was going on this journey where I was going into this new life, right? Ascending into this new life, and I could not take any of the past with me. Past people, past situations, past belongings. So I'm forewarning you that if you find yourself on this journey at this point, this may have already happened to you, will happen to you, is about to happen to you, where you're probably going to end up getting rid of everything. And you either have the choice to do that yourself now, to minimize your things now, or as they kind of say in tarot, have a tower moment where the universe kind of comes in and kind of takes care of it for you, which happened in my case, that I had really no control over my losing everything. And I was supposed to lose everything. Like, I understand that now. I think I can't even think of the things that I had, and they're not even important now because of the growth that my soul has done over this last 5 years of my journey. And things that I thought were important to me then are not important to me now. I think what triggered this video today was I moved into this new apartment building, and I got very few pieces of furniture. Um, and I just happened to go into um, two other apartments. They're the tenants, can't think of the word, that I met, kind of invited me in, just for a brief moment. And the first apartment I went into, I was like overwhelmed by like all the stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, compared to, and it kind of, the thought was like, do I have too little stuff, But for one person to think like, oh my God, I got that much stuff. I also thought of it, I think it's what called the Swedish death cleaning method or something like that, where you kind of go about getting rid of everything that you think um, that if you died tomorrow, your relatives would have to come in and get rid of. And does it make sense for them to have to now go about selling or get rid of or passing on? Would it mean anything? Stuff like that. And if you just have stuff sitting there. Um, so that's what it kind of reminded me of now kind of going through your stuff and really seeing what's important. I think one thing that I really screwed up on is not having my paperwork with me. I thought I was going back, and I had put my birth certificate and everything in a lockbox, and had put it in the storage unit. And I lost that. And praying, God is, spirit, universe, however you address your higher source, has protected me so far as not, you know, being um, what do you call it, having your identity stolen or anything. But I had to go back through the process of now obtaining all of those documents. So if there's anything that you should put aside, is make sure you have all your documents handy so that when it does come time for you to move out of where you're at, that you're prepared with those things. Okay. I think I've been saying, I think I have 6 things, little things, not big. I have my like my laptop, my iPad, I think I have my very first tarot deck that I ever had, but very few things that I had 5 years ago. 6 things I think that I can count with me to this day now. Very small things, as I said. I found a chapstick the other day that I would somehow manage to bring along with me for the last 5 years. So if you are, consider yourself on this journey of ascension, um, it's going to be um, important for you to minimize your things. Um, to the best of your ability at this point. Okay. So I'm going to leave it here. Again, thank you so much for liking and sharing. You guys have been great. Gotten a couple of new subscribers. And this channel is not for everyone, so I didn't expect to have a lot of subscribers. Hopefully it will grow, but understand that we are a chosen few. We've chosen, right, this path for this lifetime. And not everyone is going to be ready for this type of journey in this particular lifetime. Okay. So I will see you in the next video.